Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts with a stocks to watch video. Today is May 2nd, 2021. Before we get started, this video is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. And I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Also, know your earnings dates. There's a lot of them coming up on these kind of mid-cap type names. Last week, we had all the mega caps reporting. This week, it's more the mid-caps reporting. Mid-cap growth names, tons of them. So again, know your earnings dates. Many of these have them within the next week to 10 days. All right, and I just want to tell you guys about one more thing. Trader Lion is doing a leadership blueprints course on Trader Lion, we call it University. It seems pretty good. It's something that I'm going to be doing with my daughter, who I really want to get into trading, and this is I think this is a way to kind of bridge that gap of dad telling her versus her just kind of learning and um, on her own. So Trader Lion's a great group. I've known Ross Haber, and Ray and Richard Moglen for a long time, and so I'm gonna give it a try. I don't get anything from this if you sign up or don't sign up for this. I'm just kind of letting you know what I'm doing. And if you're interested, check it out. I know they're running some kind of special this week. It was 50% off. So if you're interested, again, check it out. I'm going to be doing it with my daughter because I think it's gonna be a good way to get her to learn about markets. All right. So just want to let you know about that. Moving on, let's look at the cues. So the cues are not doing anything wrong, right? They're just buying their time sideways. The 9-day moving average is starting to flatten out, but the longer term trends are still higher. So I think that the likelihood that this moves higher is increasing. I'm seeing an uptick in volume right here, right? Which I think is good. I think it's getting ready to move. The defined risk is at 334, right? If price gets below 334, then it's only 1% away. Then it's a different market condition. But right now, I think everything looks pretty good. We'll watch price to determine if that continues. All right. So I think I have 28 names and 5 short squeeze names. So let's get going. First one is going to be net. So net is doing everything right, just pulling back into its moving averages, earnings coming up. Looks good. Again, we like it, obviously, playing the breakout on this one. Above here, watch your earnings dates. TXG, I'll be going quickly through these. Get a pen and paper, jot them down if you like them, and you dissect the charts on your own. Little cup and handle, whatever you want to call this. Earnings coming up. We really like that above. Gets above 200. That's the psychological number, right? 200, somewhere around there. That's important right there. So I could even something like that. Right. So watch TXG. Next up is Halozyme. Again, another kind of cup and handle look to it. Earnings not too far in the future. So maybe it just needs to pull back on light volume into the moving averages and then move out maybe on earnings or something like that. Next up, VALE, VALE. It already did break out. It got kind of extended. Nice move up. Let's see if it pulls back down. Volume was a little bit high on Friday. So we'll see if it can start kind of consolidating on lower volume. Earnings out of the way. TX, another one that has earnings out of the way, and just going to a weekly chart, you could kind of see how important this area is, right? Let's just look at this on a weekly, and you see back all the way from 2008, right? 2007 or 8, whatever this is, 7. It's been really important in this area. Just keeps hitting it. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th time it's hit this area. So it's a big deal. And if you look at when we zoom in, great accumulation volume right there, pulling back on lighter volume right into the moving averages. So if this can start kicking back up and breaking out above 42, 43, I think this one could be along very nicely. That's TX. Next up, 4. Shift for payment is making kind of a ladle and handle. Things are looking pretty good here. Still trending higher. Earnings coming up, so be aware. VCEL, again, the trend is intact. It keeps making higher lows. That looks good. And so not bad looking. Earnings coming up real soon on the 5th. FLL, Full House Resorts, is trying to break out right here. Decent volume, earnings coming up, but nice accumulation overall in this space area. Well built, WBT. So this one had the beautiful gap, right? 45, almost 45%. And now prices move sideways, almost all inside days to this bar right here, right? Almost. Actually, it is all inside days. So all these candles right here are all inside this bar, which is kind of interesting. Earnings are coming up, so nothing that I can, that's actionable right now. And these moving averages are starting to catch up. So let's see what happens on earnings. But this looks like a really, really good setup that may be primed to move higher. We'll watch. Well built. Next up is CEQP. Crestwood Equity Partners, just a giant trend up, right? I mean, there's been places to get in though along the way. So let's watch for another one of those places, even right here, right? So pull back into the moving averages. Overall, the accumulation's been really good. That's CEQP. XM was kind of like well built, but a little sloppier, newer name. Now it's pulling back into the moving averages on slightly higher volume. So something to watch. Let's see if it can firm up and tighten up a little bit, and then maybe a position. This one's possible. SPT, Sprout Social, earnings real soon on the 4th, but it kind of broke out of this range area, came back, is trying to retest it. So watching for earnings. FUTU, it's one I really like. I do own this one. Kind of inverse head and shoulders looking type pattern. Don't love this bar right here. That's a 23% down day. But I do like that it kind of is coming back into this. Came back pretty nicely and is trying to just kind of come around all that stuff. So again, maybe this is just the right shoulder, right? Just how it made it. We'll watch it. We got a couple weeks to earnings, so that's kind of good. We'd love to see this get above 170. That would be the ideal, right? It's FUTU. But again, it didn't continue its downward slide. It snapped back. So that was, I think, information on this one. CHX, starting to kind of retested this breakout. Now trying to move higher. Moving averages are starting to get bullishly aligned. So this one looks pretty good. CHX. Next up is Upstart. So this one had an amazing move up here. It's consolidating back into the 65. Now it's higher. Let's see if it makes this higher low right here, right in the right spot. If it gets above the VWAPs from the gap and from the swing high, I think that would be significant. And you can see how they're starting to get tight right in here, which makes sense. And above 120, we'll call it 124. Above 124, and Upstart could be a mover. Earnings on the 11th, so that could be a catalyst. ORGO. ORGO is another one that I am involved with, and this I think is potential high type flag, whether you want to call it from this consolidation right here or from this consolidation right here. It's kind of, got a high type flag look to it. It's been consolidating now 3 weeks, I believe. 1, 2, 3 weeks. It's been consolidating. Again, looking at it from here to here or here, right? It gives you that, and it's enough, in my opinion. So it's trying to move higher, earnings not too far in the future, but I do like the look of this one, and I do hold a position. OKTA. So OKTA is kind of interesting. It's got this inverse head and shoulder look to it. A lot of these patterns do. So they're setting up nicely, right? We got a little bit of time to earnings. So if it can hold its moving averages, whether it's the 23 or the 65, and then make a right shoulder right here, that'd be really bullish. Bloom Energy had a falling wedge look. It broke out. Now just a little pullback. And, it was a huge run from bottom to top, right? From here to here, 35%, right? So now it needs to kind of consolidate just a little bit. Earnings coming up. We'll love to see this continue higher, maybe get into this $38 range. TIGR, kind of came down, is rounding out, making this base. If it gets above 24 and a quarter-ish, that would be really interesting. Moving averages are starting to bullishly align, and nice accumulation just in this whole area. Shockwave, SWAV. So it broke out on high volume back over here on April 21st. And now kind of has been going higher. We'll love to see this kind of come back and retest this 143 to 145 area. Earnings coming up, so who knows if it'll do it on earnings. But yeah, a retest would be uber bullish. So again, nice accumulation coming in this name. HYFM, Hydrofarm, newer name. A little bit loose in here. You never know when the secondary is or could be coming out. Earnings coming up, but above 70-ish. And this, at least gives you a place to manage risk. AXNX. This was a name that I just felt was too loose and never got involved in it. And all it's done is grind higher, right? Big wicks on both ends. But look at the trend. It's been, and look at the accumulation. It's always been there. Never been involved with this particular one. Earnings coming up, but it still looks pretty good, especially if it comes back into earnings, maybe at the $60.50 range or something. LPRO, big ups, sideways consolidation, hasn't done anything wrong. Trend is still higher. Starting to get a little fan out again of the moving averages. If it can get above $42, $43, that would look pretty good. Again, earnings coming up. SLQT, broke out of this kind of cup and handle-ish look to it. Maybe this is just a high handle of this big cup IPO cup pattern. Earnings coming up, but again, above 32.50 looks pretty good. NARI, again, newer name. Earnings coming up. Big ups, move sideways. A little tightening up, starting to fan out nicely above 119. And I think this could be a nice place to manage risk. INSP, earnings this week on the 4th, but making this just sideways consolidation. If it can hold, get above 245, things will look pretty good, and maybe starts the next leg higher. BPY. So this is a REIT, which is not usually my wheelhouse, and I don't know what's going on with it, but it's really, really tight in here, and I like that. Decent accumulation, and maybe it got bought out or something. I don't even know. Brookfield Property Partners, but I just noticed this tightness, and again, maybe there's a buyout in here, which is why it's so tight, but it was interesting. Kimco, another one that was interesting, and on a longer-term chart, you can see that it kind of come up here, rejected, came up here, rejected, back to the scene of the crime, trying to pull back. Decent, really nice, actually, accumulation volume recently. So that's a REIT. Kimco, earnings out of the way, pretty nice. As far as short squeeze ideas goes, first one is going to be PAR. PAR has been consolidating, earnings coming up, but nice move up right there, 25% move, and really just holding its gains nicely. So if this can get above $88, looks pretty good. And we have a little bit of time for earnings, not much, but a little bit, 10 days or so. PLCE, again, trying to break out, a little bit of time until earnings, but not doing anything wrong yet. That's Children's Place, PLCE. Lovesac. It's one I still own. Pulling back after a nice big run on lower volume, doing everything right. Looks pretty good. SOLY, SOLY, starting to align up bullishly. A little bit of time until earnings, which is nice. If this gets above 18.80-ish, $19, looks nice. And last one is CSTL. Starting to try to do something. Earnings coming up, so probably needs to prove itself, get these bullishly aligned, but overall it doesn't look that bad. A lower float name, so just be aware of that. And so that's what I got. It's my watch list. It's ones I'm looking at going into this week. If I, watching a lot of these earnings dates, there's a lot going on there. So if you like these videos, again, like and subscribe to my channel. I really do appreciate that. I put these videos out every single week. So I thank you for your support, and catch me on Twitter at AlphaCharge365. Drop me a note. If you're going to try this trader line thing, let me know that you're trying it. Like I said, I'm doing it too. So we can kind of do talk about that a little bit. Find me on Twitter at AlphaCharge365. Y'all have a great day. Thanks. Bye.